game, made a game, came up with a game, designed
Yeah,
a game?
yeah. I designed a game called Champions of the Galaxy 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, wrestling tabletop card game.
Awesome.
The game originally was intended to be sold to the WWF and to Vince McMahon. It's you play it on a tabletop. Let's say you've got playing cards for Jimmy Superfly Snuka, who Steve knows, and the Iron Sheik, two famous WWF wrestlers. So you'd have one of them, I'd have the other one. We'd have their cards right in front of us. We'd roll dice to see who moves. We'd go back and forth. Let's say Snuka does a move, Iron Sheik does. Eventually somebody's going to win the match, or somebody's going to be disqualified or counted out. It could take anywhere from 2 or 3 minutes a match to a half hour. I tried to sell it to the WWF, and they were not able to license it to me because they didn't have any choice. That's a long story.
Right.
So I remember being disappointed and thinking, now what am I going to do with this game? I've got a game that seems to work, now what? Then it came to me, I'll just create my own characters.
Oh.
I did, by the way, come back and do a game with the real guys in it called Legends of Wrestling. I did that 3 years ago, where I have the Iron Sheik, Jimmy Snuka, all of the real guys in that one. Same game system. And it's produced in Cleveland, because that's where it started. I do the writing here. I've got artists all over who do the artwork for the game. And then it's produced, and then we sell it online, we sell it in magazine ads, and we do sell it in some stores too.
So, this says you wrote a book?
Yeah, then I wrote a book.
Okay. And what was that book about?
Well, it started out as being a book about how the games were created. Because there are people who play the game all over the world, and I like to write. So I thought, this is a chance for me to write a book. I've got a built-in audience, I'll do it. But it expanded beyond that. It started to become more and more about creative people and the challenges they face in our society, fitting in and being themselves. And so I called the book The Dark Menace of the Universe. And that's because a friend of mine emailed me and called me that as a joke. He said, you're just a Dark Menace of the Universe. And I thought, boy, that is a great title.
Yeah.
I got to use that. Do you mind? And, he said, yeah, I just made it up. The Dark Menace of the Universe is creativity, and it is creative people in general, and the threat they sometimes pose to society and to regular, everyday, normal people who seem threatened by them.
Yeah, people can get out of that book.
Well, I'm hoping there's two things. One parent who bought the book said, I wish I'd read this 10 years earlier before my kid had grown up. I'd understand my kid better, because it, taught them a little bit about a creative child, and they apparently, had trouble raising that child. On the other hand, too, what I'd like it to do for young people, and even not young people, is to read a book like that and say, then I've got my ideas, I can still succeed too. Even though some people think I'm a little off the wall, a little zany, I'm going to go forward with my ideas anyway. So anyway, I'm hoping it inspires people.
Have you ever met anyone famous?
The ones I can think of are Stan Lee, who's the creator of Spider-Man and X-Men and some of those people, and he's been a big supporter of my work. Met the rock star Alice Cooper. I almost worked with him too, because he did an album where he created some characters I wanted to use in my game. Didn't work out. Guy who played Jaws in James Bond, what was his name? Richard Keel or something like that?
Yeah, big.
Oh, the picture we've got together is he's got his hand on my head and his fingers extend like I'm a little eggshell.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know his name either.
Yeah, and then wrestlers like Ted DiBiase, Iron Sheik, Harley Race, just about all of them.
So, what do you do from here? What's the future hold for you? What do you got? Any goals in mind?
You know what, I find that it's best to leave everything open. I don't know if I'd recommend that way of life for everybody, but for me it works pretty well. 3 years ago I would maybe not have known I was going to write a book. I really don't know what's going to happen in 3 years. I think a person sometimes got to go with the flow. He's got to say to themselves, what feels right now, and is the time right? And what I'd like to keep doing is creative work, keep nurturing my game. I've got other products I like to market too, and to keep doing good here at Jamestown Community College. And to be a good father, by the way, and husband.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
And want to promote?
Yeah. It's one thing to have a good idea, but I think that people everywhere have good ideas. The key is to be able to market it successfully. And to do that, a person, I think, has to have a good grasp of, can they affordably market their product, and can they promote the product, you know, and will it sell? And I think sometimes one has to ask oneself, do you want to produce it yourself then and take the risk, or do you want to try to sell it to a bigger company, which is also a risk, I believe, because sometimes unless you don't have the proper agreements with those companies, they sometimes will steal people's ideas. So one has to be careful that way too. So I would say, if a person does really want to go into business for themselves, they need to do their homework on how viable the idea is. And that can be done. You know, I think after that, a person has to have a lot of enthusiasm for their project, because that enthusiasm then spreads to other people.
Yeah.
But if you really like something, if it's based on passion, I think other people are more likely to also agree that they like it too. I still play my game all the time. I've played 700, something like 780 wrestling cards of my own game dating back to 1989 now. Got this long history. It's like WWF history, you know, but yeah, no, I never got tired of it. As soon as I get tired of it, I'll stop producing it.